Hi everybody, Father Scott Vanderveer here, wishing you a happy Laudato Si week. Laudato Si, praised be to you, is what that phrase means. It is the name of a great document that Pope Francis wrote 8 years ago this week. And it's all about our relationship with nature and God's creation. Laudato Si was an unusual document because most popes write to certain groups of people or they write to the church as a whole. An encyclical is usually in its widest form to the whole universal worldwide church. But Laudato Si about the environment and creation was even broader than that. It was written to all people of goodwill. It was meant to be a letter from our Pope to all Catholics and all Christians and all people of Abraham's faith, like Muslims and Jews, and all people of other faiths, like Hindus and Buddhists and Shins and Jains and all of the other great religions of the world. And this encyclical was meant to be both a celebration of all that God has given us in creation, but also it was meant to be a call to conversion so that we can care a little bit more about creation and use creation to our own ends just a little bit less, recognizing that creation has value all on its own. It reminds me of an assignment that I had when I was a seminarian. I was working with a couple of young men, maybe older teenagers, like 19 years old, who were becoming Catholics. They had been raised in a kind of vague Christianity that never really focused on a certain denomination, and so they decided that they wanted to be Catholic. But they didn't know a whole lot about the faith. So we spent a series of, I think it was 15 or 20 weeks on Sundays, just sitting together and talking about some of the deepest questions of life. I wanted to talk to them about the gift of the Holy Spirit called wonder and awe in God's presence. And so I thought maybe the best way to do that would be to look at some of the recent findings that NASA had gathered. NASA is always, for me anyway, a great way to get in touch with the wonder of God. If there are images from the Hubble or Webb telescopes to look at, if there are new horizons to learn about, if it's the stories that have come back from the spaceship Voyager or any of the old footage of the space shuttles, it's just remarkable to realize all that is going on in the universe beyond our little solar system. So when I was working with them, it was right around the time that at that time the Hubble telescope had seen some spaces way out in the depths of the universe that we had never seen before. Depths of planets and galaxies that were beyond our imagination. So one of the things that NASA was taking special interest in was finding planets that could sustain life as well as the planet Earth could. For obvious reasons, that would be fascinating. For one, could we ever create a spaceship that could go fast enough and far enough that we could live there as space tourists, as people who could go on an extended vacation on another planet? That would be interesting. But even further, it's trying to figure out if perhaps God has created other places where there could be life in other parts of our universe. After all, that's not a crazy thing to think, that God could create life in other corners of the universe other than ours. And so at this time, there was a planet that had just been discovered in a galaxy 13 million light years away. It was just an absurd distance away. And I recall that the planet they had found, which was, I believe it had the name Kepler. The word Kepler was in the name somehow, with some digits following it to identify which planet this was from the others. I remember that the planet was a lot like Earth in many ways, and it appeared from that vast distance that it perhaps could sustain life. It was filled with carbon, which is needed for life. It seemed like it could sustain the presence of water. It appeared to be about the same distance from its star, its sun, as we are from ours. And it appeared to have a lot of the things that you would need to sustain life. Interestingly, it was a little different than Earth because it was twice the size of Earth, and it was made of a solid diamond. Can you imagine? A diamond planet. That was what the core of the planet was. It was a diamond. There again, the creativity of God, the extravagance, it's just amazing. So, I was talking with these young, emerging Catholics about this experience, and I said, guys, listen to this. There's a planet, it's around our size, it's twice the size of Earth, but in planetary terms, that's pretty similar. And it appears to have water, it appears to have carbon, it appears to have a lot of the things that you would need to sustain life. But here's something really cool and wild. It's made out of a solid diamond. And those boys, listen to how human this moment is. Those boys looked at each other and they were like, it's a solid diamond. And they looked back at me and they said, we gotta go get that. Like, go get that planet and like lasso it and pull it in. We gotta go get that. And the thing I said in response was, and where would we put it? Where would we park it out back? It's twice the size of the Earth. It would cause a giant eclipse of the sun. It's twice the size of our planet. What are we gonna rent a U-Haul and pull it here? What would we do? It's twice the size of our planet. There's no vehicle to bring that planet here. But here's what I think is really interesting. They were expressing the very common domination view of creation, which says, God gave it to us. It's ours to do with what we want. Let's go get that diamond planet and chop it up and sell it, and we're going to be rich. Let's sell the diamond planet one chunk at a time. I think all of us can relate to that feeling like, oh my gosh, this could be the solution to all of our problems. We could never have financial difficulties again if we just went and got that planet. But do you see that it contains a sort of disrespect right in the center of it? Right in the midst of that statement, we are saying God's creation can be used and taken and plundered and sold for our own gain. Its value comes from what it can do for me, not in what it is doing by bringing God glory all on its own. Imagine a planet made of a solid diamond. Imagine trying to take that in. God is inviting us to consider that we were not given creation to dominate it. We were given creation to steward it. We were given creation as guardians who were meant to care for this, invest in it, multiply it, protect it, nurture it. And yes, there would be times that because creation is so abundant, it would be giving us its fruits for our own gain. The land yields crops and treasures and minerals and amazing things. It contains so much that it just abundantly gives. to the people like you and me who live here. But like any home, it must be respected. Just as a home shelters us and protects us and covers us and warms us in the cold and provides us shelter from the sun in the heat, it must be cared for and maintained. It must be loved and protected. It protects us, and we must protect it. I share this because Pope Francis in Laudato Si is trying to remind us that we were not raised with stewardship being the dominant model. We were raised with domination being the dominant model. And all of us are in some way 1 degree of separation from something involving the earth being what put food on our tables. Many of our families worked in mines or in factories that used the goods of the earth to make something else. Many of us have a connection to a company that, like GE, put hazardous chemicals into riverbeds thinking, oh, they'll be fine there. Nobody cares. It's just the earth. It's only here for us. And we're being encouraged now to realize, no, it's not just here for us to make money off of. It has value in and of itself. So Pope Francis says to go from the domination model to the stewardship model is a holy thing. But then we're encouraged to go maybe even deeper into the interdependence model, where we realize that the earth loves us, is in a relationship with us, needs us for its own survival. And the opposite is also true. We need this planet. Where else would we live if not here? The diamond planet is 13 billion light years away. What would we do? Try to go there? Try to get a plane to go fast enough? Think of how a light year is how far light can travel in a year. And it travels faster than the speed of sound. So it doesn't seem that we'll be able to find another place in our lifetime in which to live, or on which to live if you think of it as a planet. So let us consider how Pope Francis is inviting us to see the earth differently than we have before. Later this year, we'll celebrate what's being called the Season of Creation, a special month that's set aside in Christian churches, including the Catholic Church, to cherish what God has given us and consider what our part might be in that. So this would be a good time for us to do some reflecting on our relationship with nature. How much have we subscribed to the dominance model? Where in our life do we have intersections with the stewardship model? And what do we think about the interdependence model, where we are part of the earth? The earth is our mother. We are the ones who have been given a sacred opportunity to walk and live on a living planet that is our home and our mother simultaneously. Maybe you can pick up a copy of Laudato Si or go to the Vatican website and download it. It's available for reading anytime you want on the Vatican website. Laudato Si, on care for our common home. Thank you for thinking about this with me, friends. May God bless our planet, and may God bless you all.